Hello, I'm Kelly Adediha, 20J, from Togo and Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah.
What brought you to INSEAD?
Oh, that's a tough one. A lot of things. The first one being like the idea of doing an MBA, coming to business school, and then finding the best place based on some personal constraint or some personal preferences. But besides that, also the best environment that worked for me. I'm coming from a tech background, right? I just reached a point in my career where I felt like I needed to bring that business acumen and add that to the technology background which I've been enjoying and which I want to continue working in on the long term. But there are different ways of doing that. You can build that organically through your career. But I was trying to find a shortcut or an accelerator. So an MBA made sense. So the next question then was like, where? And I've put in a lot of time to think through that, right? I actually visited two other schools in the US and then INSEAD, but I was very convinced by the environment I found at INSEAD for different reasons. The first one being really, it's gonna sound cliche, but like the diversity of the people that I saw in the classroom. When I was visiting, and like people are just genuinely interested in knowing me at the end of that, because I was allowed to audit the class. So obviously I was sitting in the back. I didn't have the right to raise my hand or ask any questions or just listening in. But at the end, like people just came to me and genuinely were interested in knowing who I am. At that time, I hadn't even applied or whatever. So it was really quite different from what I've seen at other schools. The second reason being like more personal. I wanted to do that in the shortest amount of time possible, and a 1-year MBA program. INSEAD is the best in the world for that. And finally, the third one is really based on geographic preferences. I want to build my career in Africa. I want to continue working in Africa, and it just seems to me that the network of alums for INSEAD is pretty strong in Africa. I've interacted with a lot of them even before applying, before becoming a student, and they were like very supportive, very open in helping me grow. That's really how I got here.
Right. So, where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
I grew up in Cote d'Ivoire. I was born there. So until the age of 12, actually, I 100% identify as an Ivorian. And then in 2002, my family moved to Togo for actually very difficult reasons. There was a war going on in Cote d'Ivoire, so we're kind of displaced. Because we're literally in the middle of the war zone where the combats were happening. I was 11 at the time, so it wasn't a safe environment anymore. Schools were closed, and hearing gunshots at night and bombs in the morning were not really the kind of environment you want to be in. So my family made the decision to move to Togo, and that's where actually I completed the rest of my middle school and my high school, and then I went to Tunisia for university. I did my bachelor and my first master's there, then moved to Burkina Faso for work, went back to Tunisia for a year for work again, and then I moved to Senegal, where I was based for the last 4.5 years before coming to India.
Wow. And were you the only child? Did you have siblings?
I have two sisters, and I'm the middle kid, so I'm right in the middle, like the only boy, but like I have a sister, an older sister, and a younger sister.
Okay. And where's your family now?
All over the world. One of my sisters lives in France, so in Paris actually. The second one is in DC, in the US. My dad is right now in Togo, and my mom is between Togo and Washington.
What was it like balancing between work and the family while
It's
being
hard.
at an intensive program like INSEAD?
It is hard, and I knew before coming that it was going to be hard. I did my research. When I applied, actually, I was passing by Paris, and I booked some time to talk to the admission manager at the time. I think her name is Stephanie Hani, and she was kind enough to share coffee with me at Freddy's, and we had that conversation. She told me actually, your family being around is not going to make a big difference, especially in P1, P2, and sometimes in P3, because you won't just be there, which is somewhat what happened. P1 and P2 was so intense that like sometimes I come back home at 9 p.m 10 p.m at that time. My kid is turning 2 in July. My son is turning 2 in July, so by the time I got back home, most of the time he was already in bed.
Yeah.
which means that I only had like the weekends to spend really some time with him
Mm.
and with my wife. But I'm lucky enough to have a very supportive partner, a very supportive family, and she made the decision to come with me here for the duration of the program, which is great. So it's been also very good to have this support system. Actually, I keep some feet on the ground because INSEAD, like no matter what we say, it's a bubble. It's a
Yeah.
bubble, and sometimes if you don't keep those links with the external world while you're experiencing this, like it's amazing experience, right? But like it's also, I felt that it was also very good to have that support system, that environment to keep me grounded.
Did you feel like it was worth it? And what did you enjoy the most about the program?
Was it worth it? Absolutely. I mean, I came here really for two reasons. The first one is the learning piece. Computers, as a computer science engineer, there are a lot of like topics that I wasn't exposed to academically or through my work experience. Finance, for instance, is something that I never did, which I think is very important if you are, building up your career. And at some point, those are skills that perhaps you won't need on a day-to-day basis, but it's a language that you need to understand and speak.
Yeah.
And the second one was really on like building a network, and actually beyond the network, building a community of people that I can rely on, right? On both aspects, I think the outcome has been beyond expectations.
Yeah.
Really, like in terms of learning, like there's still things like I have my notes from P1, P2, P3, and P4 here. I keep them very seriously because I know that those are things that I'm gonna need to get back to in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, and like try to pick up again like some concepts that I'm gonna need anyways. And I think it's really opened up my mind and my understanding on things that happen in the world, not just in the professional standpoint, but like generally, just to have like a large tool set to understand the world. And then on the community building piece, I've made a lot of good friends at INSEAD, people that I can really genuinely call friends, and I know that it's going to go beyond the 10 months of the MBA program. People that I've been on trips with, people that I've had home or like went out for dinner, etc., that I've shared a lot with. And I think INSEAD just gives you that kind of platform where you live through tough times and good times together, and that's how you form bonds, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is a third element that I wasn't really expecting, but that kind of got from bonus is like really that personal learning experience, through the personal leadership development program that I've personally very much used. Just learning about yourself and how that affects you as a person in the society, in your community, and as a business or community leader. Coming from a family where I was the only boy, culturally in Africa, there was a lot of expectations on the fact that like you have to be the man in the house, you have to give an example, and I had that. I wouldn't say it's a burden, but it's more like a drive. Exactly, I had that kind of mindset where like it was all about like you need to perform, you need to be the best in the room. You need to always go for like the hardest routes, etc. And the question was basically, are you doing that because you like it, you enjoy it, and that's what you want for yourself, or are you doing that because that's what society and community and people around you? You think that's what they expect from you, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps like people don't even think that's what you should do, but like you have those like constructs, and that's something that I never took a step back to think of. But like the PLDP journey was really helpful in like making sense of it. And I remember my coach sharing an article with me on like the talent curves, very like great article, like basically people that are talented, that end up living a life that's not really the life they want for themselves. I used to tell people that like if I had no responsibility in life, and that I didn't have bills to pay or whatever, I'll be spending my days and nights playing music, doing music in like, random bars at night, playing jazz and guitar. I remember in high school that I used to spend a lot of time in studios, making music, producing, etc., performing actually. Wow. And I really enjoyed it, right? Yeah. So it goes back. It doesn't mean that after INSEAD I'm going to start a music career. That's not the point. The point is like really taking a step back to understand like why I'm doing things, and if it makes sense really with like who I want to be, what I enjoy, and the kind of life I want to build. Like, at the end of the day, your professional life is like, 30, 40 years, but like when you're 60 or whatever and you retire, like you want to be able to look back and say, okay, I lived a good life for XYZ reason, and not necessarily because, I thought that's what people around me felt like I needed to be, and like I was living basically the life that people wanted me, or I thought people wanted me to live, but not necessarily what I wanted.
Growing up, how did you decide that technology and innovation was something that you were interested in, or what led you to follow that path?
I think it just happened. I was in middle school when my dad brought a computer home, and like started playing around with that, and I from that on I felt like this is what I wanted to do. I didn't exactly know what it was about, but like after high school, I mean, obviously, like a lot of parents, my dad wanted me to be a medical doctor, and I said no. I want to study computer science. So I actually passed the test to get into the computer science school in Togo, and I was accepted, and at the same time I got a scholarship to go in Tunisia to study computer science. So I was like, okay, this is a sign, right? So I did that, and I mean I never looked back, never regretted that decision.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And tell me more about your passion for music.
I think it's something in the house. My mom sings, right? So and my sister, my younger sister plays the guitar and the piano. So it's something that we used to do a lot in the family. I started taking piano courses when I was 7, and it's beautiful to see like how you can actually, move people emotions and feelings by just doing music. It's great.
What about your passion for the continent? How were you able to bring that into INSEAD?
Well, I co-founded the Emerging Markets Club here. My passion for the continent is like, it's part of my identity, right? I was born and raised there, and my career has been focused there, and I want to work there. I want to be part of the story of building the continent. And I have a genuine passion for Africa as a whole, for different reasons. I mean, obviously the fact that I'm from there, etc. But like, my background being that I'm actually half Ivorian, half Togolese, but my mom is from Benin, my wife is from Burundi, and I'm, like I've been to 20 plus countries on the continent for work or for leisure, and I feel home wherever I am. I strongly believe that nobody's gonna come and build this place for us. No matter what we say, like sitting here right now is being in a place of privilege. It's a responsibility to give back and to contribute to the community. And I strongly believe that the kind of place that Africa as a whole, as a continent, has to play globally, will never get to that full potential unless there is a critical mass of African people or people from the diaspora connected to the continent that will put in the effort and the work to build the continent. At the end of the day, it's a matter of like storytelling and branding. Yeah. And to build that brand, to build that story, you need to have foot on the ground. You need to create things, and you need to turn things around. I think it starts home. It starts by like giving confidence to people, like, this place is what you got. You've got to make the best out of it, and you can. You have the resources, you have the potential to do it, so you should do it.
My final question, what would be your message to future or aspiring INSEADers?
I think be ready for the unexpected. I think to a certain extent, in a lot of cases, in the majority of cases, what you're going to get out of this experience is not necessarily what you plan for when you're coming here. Getting into INSEAD is itself it's tough. It's a tough journey. It's super competitive. So when you get in, you feel like, okay, this is it. It's done. I'm going to come spend my 10 or 12 months at INSEAD, and at the end, I'm going to get a CEO job at Google. It's not true. It might happen. Listen, I'm not saying it won't happen. It might happen, but that's not really the key things to expect to get out of INSEAD. It's like really how to deal with the unexpected and how to use the resources that you've been exposed to, that you've had access to at INSEAD, to be a better person, to be a better professional, to be a better community leader. Not when things are going as expected, but like when things go as not expected, when the plan doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So that's it.